everybody try to act cool. We don't need this. They need us. Sort of terrible, but it's not supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to be cheap.
I think that one time the tire fell off, it's not really gonna matter much.
No, probably not now. Windshield's busted. The seats look great.
I got dibs on that radio.
Tires are relatively new.
Yeah, I think this is a real Z28 at some point.
Still got a Heartbeat of America sticker over here. It's got a 10-bolt rear in it. This frame looks straight. No rear crash damage, I can see.
Paint job's pretty close to ready. Factory AC. That's a waste.
Too bad there's no radiator in here. I kind of like what I'm seeing here. The body's pretty straight. The frame looks like it's never been wrecked. There's no real rust on it. And it kind of looks like garbage. So this is a perfect car for us to get nice and cheap. I say 800 is a deal, man.
Deal, man, I appreciate it.
Awesome. I am stoked. 800 bucks is a great deal for this car, and it's gonna work great with this budget that we've got set up for this project. I cannot wait to dump a bunch of horsepower into this old raggedy machine and make it fly. All right, so we're back in the Howard garage with our 79 Camaro. We dragged this thing out of a very beautiful desert community.
Oh, it was lovely.
We stole this thing. 800 bucks for the car, another 200 for a fresh windshield we put in this morning. What are we gonna do next?
Start scattering stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna tear out a bunch of stuff, extraneous weight, so some air conditioning remnants, inner fenders, stuff like that we don't need, and then we're gonna start jamming horsepower inside.
I just got done hooking up the shift linkage in the Camaro. We're still undetermined whether or not this was a 6-cylinder or a V8. But the one cool thing that Tony pointed out to me that I kind of was wondering if it was accurate or not was that the shifter was a ratchet shifter. If you move the shifter to low, move it to the right, it starts ratcheting and it locks out of neutral so you can't accidentally miss a shift. That is friggin' cool. What I did underneath here so that we could use that with the Turbo 400 was I used the stock linkage. I just cut the ear off of it. It used to look just like this. Took that ear, welded it on down here. It's slotted, it's adjustable, put in a dell right here. This should be completely adjustable and fully functional.
Okay, so we've got Tyler from Drivelines Incorporated, a local driveline shop. These dudes do just about every custom drive shaft we do. And one thing we love is that they actually come out, do the measuring, and then we'll deliver the drive shaft. So I was explaining to him the point of the Camaro is fully low bucks, save every penny we can. We saved the original drive shaft from the Camaro, which was set up for a TH350, a turbo 350 trans. So I'm hoping we can just put the 400 yoke on the front and then either lengthen or shorten this thing to fit. You think this will still take some horsepower?
Yeah, I mean, normally we'd build something a little bigger, but with the budget build, it should be good.
Is it ready to start?
Yeah,
Right?
fire it up.
Confidence,
90% of the battle.
Right.
I'm confident it's gonna start. Fuel pump works.
Yeah, that thing's a beast.
Dude, wait. Did you see the fire?
What fire?
There's stuff leaking over there? Is that gas?
Gasoline.
Oh yeah, we got a piece of rotten rubber hose right here where the filter is supposed to be.
Note to self, you can't run 60 pounds of fuel pressure through a 7-pound hose.
Okay, so we've got all the fuel leaks fixed. We filled up the cooling system. Lucky is goofing around getting some stuff off the exhaust. We threw in a cheap intake and a cheap universal throttle cable, and we're just about to try to start this thing. Are you ready? Can we do it? Are you ready? I'm ready to do this. I'm very excited. I'll prime it a couple times. Hell yeah. Atta girl. Yeah. This thing is gonna haul butt. It's gonna haul stuff around. It's gonna do it all because we have this gnarly Cummins diesel motor.
I would be happy if this thing just hauled itself. It weighs like 1,000 pounds.
It does a little bit of work just to get moving. So if you remember, we did this engine comparison episode between all the hottest swap motors of today, LS, 2JZ, and Cummins, and we were blown away by this thing. Basically, this thing was sitting in some guy's junkyard for a couple of years, submerged in dirt. We took it, dusted it off, put a big turbocharger and some big injectors in this thing. It made almost 1,000 foot-pounds of torque and 400 horsepower.
What on earth could we possibly put this in?
I've got just the thing. So here it is, and now it's time to see what this kind of power feels like in a muscle car, muscle truck.
Oh, it's a question for the ages right there.
Whatever El Caminos are, I know they're awesome. They're super versatile, they're a great value, and they look rad.
They do.
We spent $5,800 on this thing. It's the street strip car with no motor in it. It's It's also a 1970. 1970 is arguably the best year for the Chevelle.
Yeah, no,
El
it's
Camino.
the best.
It's pretty rad. And what's cool about this car is it just needs an engine and transmission, and we're gonna stick that 12-valve Cummins in here and see what it does.
That's good right there.
Okay, so I have the flex plate from American Hot Rod Solutions bolted onto our Cummins motor. The guys at American Hot Rod Solutions will send you a piece of paper that says use an 03 to 06 Ford 6.0 Power Stroke starter. We got an email from them, updated information, using an 09 6.4 Power Stroke starter works way better. Now we've told you this a million times, but it's totally important. Anytime you're gonna spin these Cummins engines over, since they're fully mechanical, they can start right up. This won't happen because I've loosened all the fuel lines and there won't be any pressure there, but legitimately you'll break your wrist if you just spin this thing a little bit and it cracks off, so be careful. So we got this sweet transmission from Gearstar. It's a 4L80E, which will give us plenty of strength to put up with all the torque from that Cummins engine, and it will also keep us super comfortable cruising on the highway. I've got the exhaust all done. Charge pipes are there. We can finally fire this thing up. As you notice, there's still quite a few small things to do, but we're ready to go.
Yes.
Let's make some smoke.
Okay. Cover me, I'm going in.
Hold on. Let me prime this thing. All right, try it. How's it feeling there?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared.
Fire right up.
It did.
It sounds just as good as it did at the dyno. We've got a couple things left to do, and then we're gonna take it out and have some fun. It's going! Yes! This is happening. This is amazing! Woo! Gearstar transmissions, huh? Oh man, I knew that would totally work.
Yeah, I never doubted it.
Totally. This truck pulled that thing, no big deal. All right, it did feel like it was working hard, but that was amazing. It's time to leave the scene of the crime.
That's it.
Woo! That was amazing.
That was crazy.
This El Camino just towed like 60,000 pounds like it was no big deal. Yeah, it wants to spin the tires. This thing rules. Okay, so we're back with our Fury Roadmaster, and it's time to upgrade this thing. We got all sorts of comments and emails with you guys crying about how it's unsafe. I can't believe you put all that power into a car with drum brakes. What are you thinking? Boo hoo hoo. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a bunch of upgrades. We got a whole bunch of parts from Jegs. We're gonna do a full rear end upgrade. We're gonna do some brakes for you guys, and we're gonna do a better transmission and converter. Disc brakes.
Nice.
Everything's gonna be nice
So
and
all
safe.
that was a plan for another episode.
Totally.
How coincidental.
So when we're done with this thing, it's gonna be like a real complete driver.
Nice.
Before it was fun to do kind of burnouts at stoplights, but it should be fun maybe stopping it, going around turns, driving it on the highway.
Turns, go figure.
Right?
Yeah. All right. It's gonna be party. Yeah, it is.
All right. And final step, throw the old drums back on. Now we can move to the front brakes. All right, so now we're at the front of the car. We're gonna install our SSBC 11.25-inch rotor and 4-piston caliber disc brake upgrade or conversion to the front end of this Fury to make it finally stop and be a nice, safe driver. It's a pretty cool kit because you can leave the stock spindles on there and it bolts onto the stock spindles. It comes with a dual reservoir master cylinder, but that's gonna bolt right to our stock power booster. So it's a nice kit that's gonna upgrade a ton of performance without having to take and redo everything.
What he said.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're under the hood and we're gonna replace our old single reservoir master cylinder with this new dual reservoir piece that's made for disc brakes. It's a nice, simple system. They use a lot of the stock parts. It should be really easy to install. All right, so after a little bit of troubleshooting last night, we figured out that all of our mechanics were perfect, and we had one small voltage issue, right?
Ballast resistor.
Exactly. It was dropping voltage to both the coil and the distributor, which needs full 12 volts. Once we did that, this thing fired right up and sounds like a dream. So we'll give her one good spray, and Magnus, fire it up.
Oh, make sure it's in park.
All right, do it.
Seems to be working.
Yeah, this thing is pretty awesome. How you feeling? Good?
I'm feeling good about that.
Safe?
I feel good, buddy. Every time we do something sketchy, I feel a little bit better about it.
I think I love this car.
I think I like it too. It's not overheating, hardly leaking anything. There's still some rubber on it.
Not much.
I don't think the day's over with yet. Tony, I'll give you some racing tips.
Yes.
It's a big parking lot. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do.
That sounds
Don't
great.
let off the gas.
I love it. You know, this wagon is a ton of fun. It doesn't have power steering or any suspension work, but with that nasty 512 stroker, which has a ton of response and power everywhere, it's really fun to slide this thing around. The harder you drive it, the more fun it is. Holy sh**. I think we're done for the day. I have not seen that. So this is the turbo we're going to use. They call it a T76. 76 refers to the size of the X-deucer on the compressor wheel. That's the outside dimension. And usually that's a pretty good indicator of how much overall power a turbocharger can make. So what do you want to do first?
So if this is the X-deucer, is this the inducer?
That is the inducer, yeah.
Didn't think I knew that, did you?
No, I think I told you that like a minute ago
Yeah,
off camera.
just learned that a minute ago.
All right, let's see if these manifolds fit. Try to build this thing on the engine sitting on the stand and figure out if we have to modify anything to start.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. The passenger side manifold, once we got it in the car, did not fit. We had to chop most of it off. Now, this thing actually performs a lot of functions. It's all of the exhaust coming from the passenger side. It also has a crossover pipe that meets and merges all of the exhaust together. That's over here. Then you mount the turbo and the wastegate on it. So we need to make sure this thing works and fits right.
So even though that these motor mounts are the perfect tool for the correct application, we here at Hot Rod Garage choose to do things in an unorthodox manner. What I've done is taken the Holley motor mount plate, done a pie cut, opened that up, which has raised our motor, moved the plate in, moved this down, but without changing the width. This, in theory, should just raise the motor and maintaining the geometry for the motor mount bolt.
To save money, we're gonna make our own charge pipes out of exhaust tubing. You can do it at home with a MIG welder. It's really easy, it's cheaper. It saved us like $300 from buying their kit. So let's start cutting this. What we wanna do is come out of this intercooler, and we're just gonna come up with a nice elbow, boom, right in there. So it'll be something like this. Very straightforward. So charge pipes are under pressure, and you wanna put a bead on them so that they don't blow off. That'll keep the hose clamp, it'll give a little ridge for it to hold on to, and the couplers won't blow off. But what you wanna do is you wanna put the bead on before you cut it, because you're gonna weld these little strips around, little beads, that'll hold everything together. But if you try to weld after you've cut, because they go right at the edge, you're gonna burn a hole in the pipe. The exhaust housing, the compressor housing, and the center section all move independently of each other. You can clock them wherever you need to. You want to make sure that you get the center housing within 15 degrees of directly vertical so that the oil can flow and drain properly. Since this thing is a bit of a sketchy turbo, I'm going to go for a straight down and hope that helps this thing. So we primed the engine with the oil feed off the turbo, and now we know for sure it's got good oil supply. I feel good about hooking it back up. We'll know that the oil is circulating through the turbo, and we can fire it up.
Hope it's in park.
final run at 9 PSI. The bone marrow laid down over 530 wheel horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque. That's a ton of power and should put us down the drag strip in the 10-second range. All right, Sean, thank you so much for letting us bring in this rolling pile of hot garbage and working your magic on it, dude. I really appreciate it.
Hey, glad to be of help. Yeah, normally I wouldn't even probably touch something like this, but you know, we decided to give it a shot, and frankly, I'm really surprised at how well it turned out. I did not expect it to make this much horsepower,
right?
This much torque. I did not expect that smooth of a curve. The tune actually was really pretty easy. Just did a speed density conversion on it, ran it with some real conservative timing, some real rich fuel to make sure nothing popped, and it did a lot more than I thought it would.
This thing is awesome.
Yeah.
All this China eBay turbo stuff really worked out. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but right now it is kicking ass. That's it for another episode of Hot Rod Garage. The bone marrow made almost 600 horsepower, and if you're keeping tabs, we're up to $9,218 for the total price of this car, the turbo, the engine, all the modifications, total all in. Stay tuned for next time. We're finally gonna get to take this thing down the track.
We still got money left.
We got a little bit of money left. And don't forget to check us out on social media. Hot Rod Garage Show on Facebook and Instagram. Find me at Tangelo96, and this dude is Mobile Tech Lucky.
That's correct.
That's right. All right, go get the trailer.
Charles, go get the trailer.